Audio. Say welcome everybody to the Sprawl Subversion episode 0 part 3. Um it's been fun and interesting so far. We have most of Shane and most of Jim's characters made. Trip West and Max Impact respectively. Tonight we have Will's character Blank Stare to work on, and our new player James, who will be playing Replica the Infiltrator. Um, Starting from left to right on the board, Will, tell us why you're here, what you're playing, and where people can find you.
Sure. Why are any of us here, man? Why are we here at all? No,
I just met this
I'm
Andy.
Blank Stare, I guess. Will be playing Blank Stare, who will be our group's killer. We'll get into why he's called Blank Stare a little later today, I think. And you can find me on here or on Twitter. And I can never remember my Twitter handle. I think it's currently Blanks821, but let me verify that. Yep, Blanks82 at Blanks821 on Twitter.
And moving on from there, Mr. VidWizard Max Impact, tell me about yourself and who you're playing.
Well, I'm playing Max Impact, our fixer. Should be an interesting character. He has propensity for getting himself into trouble. So, excuse me. But if you're looking for me, I'm Vid Wizard with 2Ds and Vid. You can find me on Twitter, Facebook, Tumblr, here, local grocery store probably if you try. Yeah, other than that, back to you, John.
And moving on from there, Mr. Trip West. Shane,
Yeah,
tell us about
I'm
yourself
Shane.
and your character.
I'm playing Trip West, the pusher, who has a little bit of a temper that hopefully our killer will be able to support. And you can't find me on Twitter, but Trip West will have a Twitter soon.
Awesome.
Space propaganda that's going to be coming out soon enough.
Anti-space
right.
propaganda.
Yep. And lastly, our new player, James, or aka Replica. Tell us about yourself and your character concept.
All right. So I am just a person. I've got nothing fancy going on for online presence. So sorry, but there's nothing there. Replica is an infiltrator. They are extremely adept at getting past, getting access to things that they shouldn't be getting access to, largely because physical pen testing is a interest of mine.
Excellent. I am looking forward to exploring that. And because I totally spaced on it, what I'm going to do right now is play the theme. So hold on one second here.
I like it.
So just before we start that, the city is it San Francisco or? Okay.
And I guess I've been muted this entire time. Oops.
Sweet.
All right. So the corp is and I cannot. I'm going to mangle the name. Cabenza Corazon. It is a multinational out of Mexico. At least that's where it largely got its start, and where
Okay.
its, I suppose, corporate culture comes from.
Okay.
It's mind and heart
Hmm.
for the meaning. They are a massive like megastructure engineering type firm
Nice.
as their primary business model that helped them elevate into megacorp status. There's materials research that goes with that, physical security sort of stuff that just flow naturally from making megastructures.
Hmm.
They are probably working with or rivals with TEPCO DAO in the use of engineering connected to star travel or asteroid mining, etc.
Interesting. So, are they more on the just massive strip mining scale that TEPCO DAO is? The leave everything as a, for lack of a better term, husk of its former self? Or are they more picky about what they're going for?
I think that they are more picky in what they're going for because they're working to build the mega structures that other companies or governments or entities would use as a primary thing. So, like, perhaps a skyhook type system might be something that they'd be trying to do, or a space ladder would be the sort of mega task they'd be working on.
Nice. So they're probably working. They're rivals with TEPCO, but they are working probably hand in hand with Alpha X to get themselves into space.
Yes.
Because I can see Alpha X being like the monopoly on getting out into orbit, basically. So what's its dark and dirty secret?
I don't know. I'm thinking that a company that big is going to have tendrils in a good portion of the world with client companies and things like that, and probably involved in lots of local corruption in those cases, but I don't have a like key dark dirty secret for it.
Okay. With its corporate HQ in Mexico, what are its operations in the greater Cali-Tokyo megaplex?
I think that they are either working with or against Alpha X for space hook type things. So they are in the process of trying to establish a large oil derrick type floating platform to serve as the surface level thing for this.
Okay, and where are its offices located in the area? Is it more on the Bay Area side or more on the Tokyo side?
I think Bay Area side.
Okay.
A kind of a not the tallest, but a tall skyscraper, the downtown area.
And I can also see them probably having a rival dock facility, maybe not next to TEPCO Dow's, but in the general vicinity, and probably nicer looking, so it doesn't require the AR filter that TEPCO Dow does to cover up the fact that they don't give two shits about the coast. As we've established with Will's favorite company here. All right, so that covers our corporate development here. All right, you have a picture in too. Nice, excellent. So, switching gears, I'm going to move us to our killer and try and find my killer questions here. And then I have some general questions I have to ask everyone a little bit later, but it's all good. So, Mr. Killer, tell me a bit about yourself, since we have not even touched on your character yet. And while I'm at it, I will open up your character.
Sure. Is there anything specific you want me to get into, especially in line with these questions, or just...
So, I will just run through the questions first. I'll hit the corporate or the cyberwar questions last, as I did for everyone else. Going into the big one, who was your first contract kill?
It's a good one. Let's see. My first kill was a environmental activist working directly against TEPCO Dow. It was a contract, and this goes into who owns me too. It was a contract by TEPCO Dow through Gakito Prime.
Environmentalist working against TEPCO Dow. So the contract was from TEPCO to GP to you.
Yeah, I was working for, I guess for GP as a Wetworks guy. And so that was just a general contract through them. One of their more, seedier sides of that company.
What group was said environmentalist from?
They were, I don't know, I gotta come up with a good group name. Of course, they're pegged in the media as an eco-terrorist group, which is very far from what's reality, but they've been spun up as pure terrorists and nasties, but they're the Greenpeace of our era, I suppose, and he was a relatively high up. Actually, no, she was a relatively high up individual in that organization.
I'm going to throw one out for you.
Okay.
Part of the Green Earth Society.
There we go. Perfect.
Well, on that bright note, who paid you is pretty easy.
Yep.
So what went wrong?
Her family was there too, which complicated things, and things got really messy. She was supposed to be alone.
So, did you not only take out the target, but you took out every member of her family too?
I didn't kill them all, but I took out her and her husband, and I injured badly her child.
Alright, we'll come up with names for those people soon enough. Alright. Where's you again? I guess that probably answers whose blood can you not wash off?
That would be the kids. Still alive, so it haunts me too. And I imagine that now she's probably working her own rank up in this organization.
Society. Awesome.
Yep.
Next on the list. And if anyone has any ideas to pipe in, please jump in. I'm just throwing things out there as well.
I have a question, Will.
Shoot.
Sure.
Are you anti like this Green Earth Society, or was it just for the money?
No, that was the job. That's what I was hired to do. My character could care less about politics and all that. Or at least he could at that time. We'll see where he stands now as we start doing things. But at that point in time in his life, he was pure mercenary.
Because I feel like
Well put. Well
I'm
put.
kind of going for a little bit of a Kincaid from the Dresden Files, so as a point of reference.
I'm trying to remember Kincaid, but it's probably in a book that I never got to.
Okay.
Because I stopped at like 5 because I ran into the trouble of the first few books of Dresden, while decent, also show how much, once you get to some of his later novels, his writing style has improved immensely.
Well, you should push through because it gets better.
If you have, if you met the archive, Kincaid's her bodyguard.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. So, who gets under your skin, and why do they anger you? Why do I envision you as having like a little sister?
That would be kind of fitting, but no, that would be really fitting, actually. Yeah, I like that. I do. I have a
Does she know what you do for a living?
No, and I keep her hidden away as well as I can too. But she reaps the benefit from the money I make. I make sure she's well taken care of, but she has no clue where it comes from.
So why do they anger you? Or why does she anger you specifically?
Or at least you don't think she has any clue where it comes from.
Sure. She is a self-entitled little brat as a result. And she drives me up the freaking wall, but it's my sister, and you know.
I can see you getting a call in the middle of the mission. Where's my dinner?
Kinda, yeah.
I can't wait for getting the details of that one.
I like that. That's good.
we can make this happen in real life, Will.
I know. Could. But my real sister's not a self-entitled little brat, so.
Okay. So what do you do to keep the edge off?
He likes to travel, but it's not even necessarily travel far. I like to go I'm an urbanite, so but he likes to just go get lost in the crowd, go find a dive, seedy bar in a back alley, kind of lifestyle. And then he'll travel around the world. Like, you'll find him just pop up in some random third world country that's where he was blowing off steam, kind of stuff, you know. But always he likes to just kind of blend in plain sight.
So why is it safe there?
He feels like he's in his element. He likes to be around kind of the scum and underbelly of society. It's kind of his people to him.
Excellent. And the fun one. What death do you dream of?
I think he started off with the kind of the warrior mentality. He was a merc. He'd been kind of military, special forces. He'd had that idea of the good warrior's death, but he's become more cynical and jaded as time has gone by. And so, if you ask him, he'll probably tell you a good warrior's death, but he knows there's no such thing as that. That's just bullshit. And so, probably what he really hopes for is to just go as quietly and as painlessly as possible, really.
I can see him hoping for that, but expecting to be shanked in an alley somewhere.
Yeah, essentially, yes. I mean, he knows what he does.
All right, and then get some fun, easy ones out of the way. Where will you kill her and never go back to?
Singapore.
Interesting.
That's where that's where he killed that activist. That's where that happened. He doesn't want to go back there if he can avoid it.
I assume this one's also going to be easy. Who will you never betray, no matter the price?
Little sis.
Yep.
Yep.
And lastly, where do you live? And what can you not stand about it?
Sure. I guess he would kind of have two places, because he has an apartment, or really, I guess kind of a condo where his sister lives.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not his... That, I guess, would be his house, but he kind of lives, like I was explaining, where he likes to blow off steam. When he's not in the middle of something, he's got some shitty Airbnb in the seedy part of town, in some...
Maybe you
city
also
store.
have like a what are they called? Like a storage rental place that you keep all of your heavy weapons in.
Yeah, no, he would have a secure storage area, like think like the secondary back, right? Not as large, but like a hidden storage locker underneath the, or even Lord of War, that shipping container he has.
Yeah.
His little office, that kind of thing.
In fact, it's a shipping container
well secured.
on a TEPCO Dow dock. Probably a shipping container you got for doing that mission.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, what do you hate about it?
It reminds me of that mission. Every time I go in there, it's like picking at an old wound, because I got it as a result of that mission.
Awesome. Well, that covers all of my basic questions for you. I'll come back to you for directives after I go to my notes and remember which questions I was asking people. Jim's not here, so Mr. Trip West, what corporation are your parents mid to high level executives of?
Well, so I don't think they're high level executives. I think
that's why I
my
put
dad,
mid as a possibility.
Yeah, I think he was like a mid, like kind of sales manager for a business supplies like company that just like provided office supplies to these places. And they just lived like they really wanted to be in that upper 1%, and so they have like spent every last dime they have zero savings to like front the like really like making a lifestyle.
All right, so he's a mid-level manager. Pick a corporation.
I don't know, Staples 2.
No, of the ones we have.
Oh, the ones we have.
Yeah.
Out of the ones we have, I think he would probably work for like Pepco Chemicals, like some sort of like offshoot like thing that they own. Not even for the main like branch of the company.
And then where does your mother work?
She doesn't work. She is living that like my husband's really rich, trying to front that lifestyle. So
Okay.
she should be working, but she doesn't.
Got it. All
Yeah.
right. That covers the first bank of questions I had. Perils of having 3 boards is I have to remember where I put all my notes. And I will cover the other question I have for you once I can find myself back to my notes. Who at Alpha X did you screw over when you left?
Jeffrey Higgins.
Tell me about Jeffrey Higgins.
He was the guy that like had kind of hired me to do the advertising stuff for them. So he was like my direct manager and responsible for me. And so when all this information like got stolen and started to be leaked, they assume it's me, and so he's the one who's like taking the fall for it at the company.
Awesome. That covers that one. I don't know where Jim is, so I will come back to him. And turn to our fellow Replica. Excellent.
Hello.
So I noticed you answered most of the questions already, but I'm going to go through them anyway. Tell me about the corp that trained you.
Replica is self-trained.
Self-taught. Awesome.
Yeah. So
since you are self-taught, what corporation do you wish you had trained you?
Cabeza Corazon.
I'm going to make it easy and call them CNC.
Huge amount of
or better
That's
yet,
fine.
CYC. I like
they
that one.
have an immense amount of physical.
You're kind of cutting out there.
All right.
And I lost audio on you.
Yeah,
They have an immense amount of physical security expertise that that's
All right. Do me a quick
Am I better
favor.
now?
kind of losing everybody.
Refresh your connection or refresh your page. Use this for technical difficulties. Drum roll. Alright, hopefully that's sounding better.
am I
Kinda?
better?
A little bit.
Damn it.
Training facilities. So I've heard the recommendation is probably to run on a wired network if you can. If not, we'll just deal with it as we can throughout the stream, so it's not a big deal.
My apologies for that.
Oh, no worries. So
Yeah, no worries.
what does... So CYC also doubles as pen testing for other corporations?
Yes.
Excellent. That's probably going to come up rather nicely. So, where did you get caught?
I think that, and this will probably tie into the cyber stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I got caught doing something at the one of the other megacorps.
So you got caught... sorry, you cut out. You got caught doing something against the another megacorp?
Shinvex.
Ah. Caught doing work against Shinvex. So, what were you doing sneaking into Shinvex?
Ostensibly, we were doing a pen test for them, subcontracted through probably 5 different layers. But also, we're trying to steal some information or something else of the of note.
And in the process, who did you leave behind?
I think that it will be one of the other co-founders of my small company at the time. I don't have a name. Let's say William Davidson.
So what did Shinvex do to William?
I don't know.
So, since this incident, you haven't had contact with William then?
Correct.
Sorry to interrupt. I'm going to step away for a sec. Right back.
Cool. All right. So what security system is your nemesis?
So it is truly attentive employees, because humans are always the weak point in a security system. So actually having employees who know who's supposed to be there, who are paying attention to people who are, walking around that don't really belong there, are far more troubling than most other security systems that Replica deals with.
Why does it give you nightmares?
Because that was what happened, or that was how things went south at Shinvex. And as things were going completely south, Replica had to flee, still, covered in her, at the time, friends, blood, and that sort of thing.
Ooh.
Once guns and stuff.
Gotcha. What piece of stolen gear or information makes you wish you hadn't stolen it?
We got a hard drive deal from Shinvex that has something incredibly compromising for them, but it's a piece of information that Replica doesn't dare release. And basically keeps it as a dead man switch if Shinvex comes after them.
Where do you hide it?
I have a lawyer that I contacted to hold it.
And it being the day and age where corporations rule the world, what is keeping that lawyer from selling you out?
The lawyer doesn't actually know what's on it.
Interesting. Excellent. All right.
Basically just, I contact you every whatever period of time, and if I don't, then send this to the Media Corp, which is... Oh, wait, never mind.
Yeah, Shinvex is the Media Corp.
Yeah. So I think it's evidence of some highly damaging operation Shinvex had done against someone else.
Oh, okay. I mean, Alpha X technically has its own media branch, so conceivably they could be the ones.
Yeah. It's basically send it to Alpha X, care of like whatever media department
Yep.
would handle it.
Right. Going to Mr. Max Impact. I know I have at least a question for you. Which is...
problem.
What corporate executive was the victim of the murder that got pinned on you?
Oh, that is an excellent question you ask. Good sir.
That's what I do here, man.
Well, let me take a quick peeky poo at the board. Oh,
All right.
who have we not used?
Well, CNC is still brand new on the list.
What are they?
They are kind of TEPCO Dow's rival. Heavy construction, heavy mining.
Genetifix was
Genetifix is Garrett's, but I'm still going to use it since I've kind of integrated it into a couple stories already. It's not super deep in it, but it has a couple of story links so far, especially with your own character.
and typical Dow. And which one's the media company we were just talking about?
Shinvex is
Shinvex?
the main media company, and AlphaX has a media division as well. I would bet all the companies kind of have a media division, but those are the two bigger ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking that not only was Shinvex like propaganda, but also just like music and like movies and like that kind of media as well. Like some of it's fun and some of it's
I have a feeling both Shinvex and AlphaX probably control most of the augmented reality, most of the consumed media, especially VR, AR, and basically what still stands for two-dimensional video as well. And then probably TEPCO DAO has their own little sub-feeds. Genetifix probably has their own little propaganda machine. I would bet CNC has their own department just to be able to try and either erode at Alpha X's monopoly on space, and then I'm trying to think of what other company we have. Oh, Ritel probably doesn't have much, but they have their own advertising department at least.
Yeah, I'm thinking Shinvex. Kind of leaning towards the Shinvex. There was a corporate exec from Shinvex who was dirty, but died the martyr or whatever. Died as if he was innocent.
So, who actually killed him?
I don't know. I just happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Excellent. Mark those on. All right. Since I've added a few minor questions, let's go to those. Everyone's going to get these, so I will hit everyone with them. Where will you never go back?
The last ramen place we ate at, it got shot up.
Ramen place. Is that ramen place near to your main operations headquarters, or is it on the other side of town?
It's on the other side of town. We were finishing up a job over there and stopped and had lunch, and it got shut up. And I was like, well, guess we're not coming back here anymore. we also stiffed them on the bill when we left here in a hail of bullets. So,
Well, I already know the answer to this one, but who will you never betray?
Janine.
That was an easy one. And then, where do you live?
Probably some sort of. We probably have a little headquarters in some sort of off the grid, like bomb shelter that isn't on any city plan. So there aren't any plans for how to get in and out, and we've devised how to get in and out. Or if it was in city plans, Janine has made sure to remove it from any city plans. So
I can see it as being like a warehouse in a either slum lower level downtown or slum outer Bay Area warehouse.
I was thinking more like like the almost like an old transit station.
Ooh, I
where,
like that even better.
where like they used to store trains and stuff, or they used to repair trains. So it's a small little like concrete bunker. It was designed to hold light rail vehicles.
It's an old BART repair bunker.
Yeah, exactly. So it has an underground piece because they used to pull the train in and work, just work underneath it. And that's where most of our stuff is done. But we haven't. The upstairs is all wired with cameras and sensors. So if anybody comes in, we know it.
Okay, hold up. This is not true. They don't repair the BART. There's no spot for them to repair the BART.
Uh-huh.
Well, there is now.
How's that? We'll say
It's
Caltrain.
the future. It's the future. They had to develop the new BART trains somewhere.
Okay.
Where in the Bay Area is it? Downtown basement level or outer slums?
It's going to be in the outer slums.
Okay. Cool. I think that covers all the questions I had for you. So I will come to the pusher with the same questions.
And I gotta step away again, catch the baby from the bath. So be right back.
No problem. Trip,
Yes.
where will you never go back?
I will never go back to. I'm assuming that there's like a couple different like low orbital space stations that are circling, and I just won't go
Yes.
back there.
Is it... So there are two main ones I've brainstormed so far. TEPCO Dow has a major orbital facility, and Alpha X has a major orbital facility. I assume it's probably the Alpha X facility,
Yeah,
but...
Alpha X one. Unless I'm going to stipulate, unless it's to like blow it up, I would make an exception.
CNC would love that. Right. I think I already covered this in one of your earlier questions. Probably one of your directives, if I remember correctly. Yeah. Who will you never betray? We've already covered. Because one of your directives discussed that one, which is your hierarchic one. Which is Ajax. The one child in the class who wasn't particularly gifted. Too bad he's a lower level Alpha X employee, and you probably will end up having to betray him anyways.
For Ajax.
And then, where do you live?
I think I live, as part of this like advertising company that I work for, I live in a building that looks very swanky. And like all the halls and stuff are swanky, but the apartments are just tiny. So like they're not actually super nice. It's just that like for the sake of appearance, the advertising company is like, live here.
I could see you having like what is it in Japan, the like the capsule hotel.
It's like slightly bigger than that. There's like a bed and like 2 feet to walk, and across from that is like a sink with a little stove, and there's like one tiny wardrobe, and that's it.
What do you hate about it?
Everything. But
I can
you know,
also see you having. I'm envisioning like you've also stolen a place that you have this crazy person style red string connecting points.
yeah. This is the place that the company like. This is my official address where I would say that I lived. Where I would like I can list to like major corporations when we're working for them
Yeah.
and doing advertising for them. So they're like, oh, that's a respectable place. But we have our company has like an office, like a front like normal office, and then our like secret office.
Yeah, I could see you having a even hidden office from that has that instead of it actually having red string, it's actually like this holographic thing you press and then it just displays your conspiracy board all over the room. That's what I was looking for, conspiracy board. Except the conspiracy's real, because you have the plans.
Mm-hmm.
And going back to Max Impact, about your old BART repair bunker, what do you not like about it? Or what can you not stand about it?
It is never warm. It is so drafty. It is never warm.
It's only warm in the unpleasant summer months when
Right. It's too warm.
global warming gets you too warm, and
It's too cold in the winter and too warm in the summer. You can't seem to cool it. You can't seem to heat it.
too cold in winter.
I swear you could set the place on fire in the winter and it still would be cold.
In summer, probably prone to flooding.
And vermin. When I say
So basically,
vermin, that'll
a
be just
trouble
rats.
zone. You probably have like this island that you know inside the underground portion that you know is just high enough that it won't flood.
Right. Yeah, like
It's the
we've
platform you store everything on when you have
Right.
to leave.
Right. I actually have a picture I should share for that. Kind of what I'm
Nice.
thinking.
Okay. I think that covers everyone but Replica here. Replica,
Yes.
where will you never go back to?
I suppose what remains of Big Basin Redwood State Park.
Yeah, probably not much. Why won't
So
you go
I'm
back
thinking-
there?
That was where Replica and their partner proposed.
Ah.
And for partner safety, Replica is not with them anymore.
Aha. Well, considering the partner's missing.
Oh, not that partner.
Oh, different partner.
That was, yeah. No, that guy was just a business partner.
Gotcha.
So when you get a free moment, John, take a look in the Sprawl Discord chat and you'll see the picture.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah, so imagine that where that train is sitting is actually our like work and live area. Like the rest of it is either prone to flooding or vermin or whatever, but we can close off that little area. And there is an underground as well, but you know, we don't go into there very much.
Yeah. All right, Replica. Who will you never betray?
That would be my partner, Maya. Long-term cohabitation type partner.
Does your long-term domestic partner have a name?
Maya.
Maya. IA or YA?
Maya.
AYA, okay. And then where do you live, and what can you not stand about it?
For the last year or so, Replica has a studio apartment in somewhere towards the center of town, but outside the good neighborhoods.
So maybe in central downtown, but in the good neighborhoods being the upper levels, you live in the lower levels.
Definitely down at the low levels. I'm thinking third or fourth story. But terrible about this place is that it is over top of the garage where autonomous vehicles are repaired. And as it's all autonomous, they can run them all night. So
You don't get much sleep
noisy. It's noisy and obnoxious.
Nice.
All right.
All right, I
That's
think
the worst part about it.
that covers everything but the last most important questions for both of our characters that needed to be established this evening. You both got cyberware because that is an integral portion of your character creation. I will start with Blank Stare first. How much cyberware do you have? First and
2.
foremost, you have 2. So I get to run these questions twice. First and foremost, why did you get part of your body cut out and replaced with electronics?
So his first cyberware is cyber eyes. He lost the use of his eyes while he was deployed, while he was in the military. And so he had to get cyber eyes to replace those.
So military, lost use of eyes whilst deployed. Tell me about those cyber eyes.
Sure. They are encrypted. They're thermographic, so I can see heat signatures, and they can record. So I can record video.
All right. And, well, obviously, how did you afford to have someone cut out part of your body and replace it with electronics? Either A, you scrimped and saved to buy it yourself. B, someone else paid for it, now you owe them. Or C, you fucked someone over to get it.
For these, somebody else bought them.
So what corporation owns you?
GP. Yeah.
So we have someone hunted
Prime
by GP
paid the bill.
and owned by GP. This is going to be interesting.
Correct.
For military replacement. I assume you probably worked for them afterwards for a while.
Yep. They liked
Awesome.
my skill set. They wanted to bring me on as a consultant and offered to replace my eyes for me after I was discharged. And I mean, I wasn't going to say no to that. That sounded innocuous enough at the time.
Next one on the list. What is your other piece of chrome?
Implanted weapons. I have blades in my hands.
Hands. Does it have any special tags, or is it just implanted
I
weapons?
believe so. They're just retractable blades. It didn't say
Oh,
any
cool.
special tags for it. Well, I guess
So-
implant? I don't know if that's a special tag or not.
Probably not. Well, I mean, I think it might make them hidden. If
Yeah.
I remember correctly. So,
Some hidden. I'll have to go back and look. But yeah, they're implant in hand. Those are the only-
and why did you get them? Why did you cut out part of your hand and replace it with blades?
Sure, it was another. It fit the work really well. After my first assignment and how messy it went, I wanted something more personal that I could control better.
Troll, awesome. So, how'd you afford these?
I fucked somebody over.
Ooh.
I removed them from.
Tell me about who you double crossed and who you're
Sure.
now hunted by.
I acquired them by actually physically ripping them out of a rival. And then, since I already had the tech, it wasn't very expensive to get the work done.
What was the name of the rival and what corp did he work for?
He works for. Let me pull up the corp list. He works for Rytel, Cybernetics, and a name. Let's come up with a good name. He was another killer who we were on the same mission. He'd been a rival for a while. I wasn't about to lose to him. And his name is... let's say... John Angelo with the nickname Dead Eyes.
John Deadeyes
Angelo.
Angelo. Got it. Someone's going to be enjoying those. I have to make 2 new cards for that. Excellent. So that covers yours. So Replica, how much hardware do you have?
Just one.
Just one. So what did you get?
Also Cyber Eyes.
And what tags do your Cyber Eyes have?
Let's see. Give me a moment to bring it back up.
Not a problem.
They are recording, encrypted, and have light amplification.
Everyone's recording everything here.
I got these for career purposes.
Tell me about what career you purchased them or you got them for.
Well, it's the pen testing stuff, right? Part of going into this is explaining how we did everything. And what better way to do it than have the actual walkthrough of the process.
How did you afford them?
We took out a this was part of our company. We took out a loan from a legitimate businessman named Emilio Barzini, and he really would like me to pay him back.
What corporation does Emilio actually work for?
I think that he doesn't work for a corporation. I think that he is he's a mobster of some form or another. Although, if it would make it easier, then he can work for a corporation.
No, he can be owned. You can be owned by a gang / mob.
Oh no, I've defaulted on the payment, so he's hunting me.
Oh, so you screwed him over. Got it.
Yes. It was supposed to be a regular deal, but then everything went south with Shinvex, and the marker has been called in and rejected.
All right, I'm going to put a note for need mafia name. All right, so that covers that one. Oops, edit. Put that there. Get rid of that. Oops. Cool. So, next on our list before we go to... Brain's not working. Links is directives. Max Impact. Tell our other 2 new players what your directives are and how you'll likely be screwing over missions to gain experience.
I answered that, didn't I? Somewhere?
Yes. But 2 people weren't here to hear all
Crap.
about it.
Did I put that on the card?
If not, you have access to my GM notes, and they are there.
Because I remember them vaguely. It's let's see. I had Oh, there's my directives. Oh, right. I'm deceptive. I lie about my identity and past. We'll put the mission at risk. And I'm protective of one of my henchwomen, Janine.
Excellent. I'm gonna get your name eventually. Trip. Tell me about tell our new players about your directives and how you'll be screwing over the mission to
All right.
advance your character.
So I'm hierarchic. So I'm trying to improve my standing or impair our rivals. Especially in my advertising company, there's two sections. There's the Shinvex corporate group that's kind of push for control, and then there's the secret undercurrent of people who are part of my society who are trying to use the advertising company for our own means.
Mm-hmm.
And Shinvex doesn't really know the full extent of that, but they're just trying to put their own people in places of power. And then I'm also violent. So at some points, I choose the violent option. There was probably a perfectly good non-violent option available to solve the problem.
So expect a pleasant, diplomatic conversation to probably end with someone getting shot.
Well,
and since the last person I had a conversation with was Replica, Mr. Blank Stare, tell me about what ways you'll be complicating the mission for your own benefit.
I am a masochist. I am masochistic.
This should be fun.
So I gain experience by getting hurt. I'm also protective. I actually just changed it because I was with the other one, but since we came up with a little sister angle, that's got to come into play there. So I'm protective, and I will put my responsibility to my sister ahead of the mission.
Nice. So, masochistic questions first. What secret would hurt more than any harm if it got out?
Oh, sister. I've kept her pretty well hidden. Even GP doesn't know of her. Good night. Well, at least I think they don't know of her. Well, we can establish they do or not, or they figure it out. But yeah, I've done a pretty good job of keeping her. She doesn't live in San Francisco at all. She is somewhere else.
What secret should you have kept?
Oh, that's a good one. I probably shouldn't have. Man, that's a tricky one. Let's come back to that one.
We can come back to that one. It's all good.
Yeah.
So who do you want to hurt the most?
Other than myself? Does it have to be an individual, or can it be an organization?
Probably organization is a possibility, but eventually you have someone within that organization that you've specifically targeted.
Okay. Well, we could... probably my original handler, EGP. Because that was not a good existence. It was paid well enough, but... And of course we have a kind of a tepid relationship, seeing how they own me still, but yeah.
And when was the last time you were wounded on a mission?
Oh, probably the last mission I was on. I think I got shot at a ramen place, not too far.
Oh, Lynx is going to be fun, because I have a feeling that ramen place is going to be part of Lynx.
Yep.
So, I will switch over. We did one directive for you. Let's do one directive for Replica. Intimate.
All right.
What's since you've already told me Intimate was one of your directives, tell me about it.
Yes.
And what friend is it?
So this is Maya.
Aha.
So my thought is that I don't have contact with Maya, but she is still in danger from anything that might, any actions that I might take. As kind of a known associate type deal.
So what debt do you still owe Maya?
I don't know. I mean, she's in explanation for running out or for disappearing a year ago.
Excellent. It's going to be an interesting calm you're eventually going to get, I think. And who loves Maya more than you do?
The guy at the ramen place that started the shootout.
I think that's a little bit too complicated of a web we've got going with the ramen place.
I was just throwing an idea out there. Maybe it's the cook from the ramen place who's secretly in love with her. Threw his body on top of her to keep her safe, so now we have to get a new cook.
I think that someone that she was dating before we became exclusive, which would be 2.5 years ago, maybe.
What corp does that person work for?
I think Alpha X.
Alright, we will come back to that person's name. Excellent. That's one down. Back to our killer. How did your sister save your life?
Oh. Okay. So at the ramen... No, I'm just kidding. No, this would have been much earlier than that. So she doesn't know what I do anymore. She knows about me being in the military, but she saved my life. It wasn't like a jump in front of a bullet kind of thing. It was just... She saved me from the fallout from my just PTSD and all the crap I was going through when I got back. She was kind of my rock and all of that. And it kept me from just blowing my brains out.
So, saved you from basically going headlong into every mission trying to get yourself murdered whilst killing other people.
Yeah.
As a suggestion, perhaps a bit of intervention on your, suicidal tendencies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what corp has their cyberware on her?
Is her?
Yeah.
Oh, man. She is owned by... Ooh. She is owned by... She's probably going to say Shinvex.
Interesting. So what did it cost her to get that tech?
She... That's a good question.
Here, as an offering, she, while not knowing what you do, Shinvex has asked her to secretly report any information she has about your whereabouts.
Okay. So Shinvex knows about her, but GP doesn't. That'll be interesting. Yeah, okay. And she thinks it's innocuous enough. In fact, it wouldn't be out of the question for her to think that maybe I even work for them as some kind of consultant or something of that nature. So it's kind of like she doesn't even know she's spying on me, kind of thing.
Yep. Awesome.
They're just, oh hey, is Will coming to the office today, kind of stuff. Or Dead Eyes. I don't know what I gotta come up with other than my nickname. I don't know. I don't think she calls me, or not Dead Eyes, Blank Stare. I don't think she calls me Blank Stare.
Then, Replica, what is your other directive?
Replica is compassionate.
Interesting.
Yes.
So we have a
So,
violent person and a compassionate person. This is an interesting combination.
It's more along the lines of helping the powerless. Like, Replica does not like the megacorps
Yeah.
that are essentially trotting over everybody. So, given the opportunity to, say, help some people out who are getting screwed by a corp, that might be the sort of thing that would drive Replica to do something dumb.
I find it amusing that our pusher is the violent one, and the pusher is supposed to be the benevolent cause leader, and our sneaky person is the compassionate one.
Yeah. Well, this is something like I just have to play into my own tendencies here, because that's what I'm going to wind up doing as a player anyway. And it may as well be in character as to go with it.
So, on that bright note, why are those who you protect worth saving?
Because they're people. Like, it's not that they've got some redeeming or other thing. They're just people who are getting screwed over by powerful companies and people, and they deserve a chance to have better lives.
Is there a specific group, like with, let's see here, going back to my notes for you. Is it like the greater neighborhood around your slum apartment? Or, like, is there a specific group you focus on more, or is it just in general?
I think that it's not something that that it's in general. It's not something that Replica sets out to do.
Mm-hmm.
Just it's like have an opportunity to help.
So
someone who's getting screwed over.
For the lowest people that you interact with most, what corp has it out for them?
Well, I think that would have to be TEPCO, because they are pretty much monsters among all of the corps, from the way they've been described at least.
And my notes now say, TEPCO Dow gives no shits. So, on that same note, you spared a life, making you fail a mission. Why?
I'll be right back.
Hi.
I think that I needed to take someone out, and they were alive, and for whatever the mission was, and they were getting married in 2 weeks, or they were a week away from retirement, depending on. It's like, no, I know you're tempting fate by telling me this, but
so they're in that innocent people being screwed over. You were contracted by a company basically to take some lower level, I don't know. Let's give it something interesting. He's a low-level geneticist at Genetifics that you were contracted to remove because he was on the verge of a breakthrough, and Rytel didn't want to lose market share on a certain thing. Let's see.
I think more along the lines that I was that person's lab to steal their stuff and steal the research, and got caught by this lab or genius geneticist, and had the option of either failing because they'll be able to recover their stuff because I haven't destroyed it yet, and I made the compassionate choice rather than the effective choice.
Excellent. All right, I think that covers all of our basics. Now comes the fun time, and of course this is the perfect time for Jim to not be here, because I need him to be here, because the person I'm going to start with is our killer. Because I start and we work our way around. Excellent timing.
Hey.
I was listening. I just had to step away to take care of the cat.
So, I don't know if you guys have read through the links section.
Nope.
But I will
Pretend
go
I
back
have.
to that here.
Mm-hmm.
Doop-a-doop-a-doop-a-doop-a-doop. Oh, this thing doesn't have links. Okay, so I need my book. Heaven forbid I'm ready for this. One of these. No, I don't want November Metric. God damn it. Although, if you haven't looked at November Metric, it's amazing. Doop-a-doop-a-doop-a-doop. Links. All right. Links. Oh, no, that's the wrong links. That's the one for the end of the mission. Doop-a-doop-a-doop. Links. In the final step of preparation process, you'll create a series of professional links between the characters. First step is going to be each player is going to describe and introduce their character to the group. You'll tell everyone about a job your character did against one of the corporations we have created so far. You'll describe your character's role in the job and name the corporation you ran the job against. Your character should play a leading role in the job, either in charge of the entire operation or providing the critical skill around which the mission was based. This is a chance to show off your character a little bit. If I haven't already started a countdown clock will get started. If the countdown clock has already been started and there's time on it, and one of the next people who does a link mission does it against the same corporation, it will advance the clock. Then the player to the right, basically, if you're looking at the display here, so it will go it'll go blank stare, max impact, trip west, and replica, and then loop around as we move over. We'll get the opportunity to be a part of that mission and get a +1 link to that character. But every person who adds to it adds a tick on the corporation's clock. So conceivably, Will could say, I did a mission against Alpha X and I did Y. Jim said, oh yeah, I was on that too. So that would make Alpha X move up to 1500. And then we would go on, and then Trip would say, oh yeah, I was on that as well. That would make it to 1800. And Replica could have also been on that mission, and we'd already have a clock up to 2000, which is halfway through, which means they're aware of all y'all, and will probably come hunt you down and beat you with sticks at some point. Or be ready to beat you with sticks, basically. So this gives an opportunity for all of you guys to mesh your characters together. It also gives you an opportunity to give maybe the big bad first corporation we start hitting on, or the first corporation that's going to come hunt you down once you start making noise. So, something to be aware of. So, I will start with you, Blank Stare. Describe your character. Give the overview of what you look like, how you are, and tell us what corporation you went up against and what you did.
All right. Okay, so Blank Stare. He has. I'll go through the character. You have to pick your eyes and all that stuff. He's got
Yep.
dead eyes, which is where he gets the nickname Blank Stare, because when he's looking at you, he's got cyber eyes. He doesn't have. I mean, he can kind of blink in that the lights turn on and off, but he doesn't really have eyebrows. He doesn't really have
So
any
I'm
expression.
imagining like Jared Leto's character for the new Blade Runner. Have you seen his look?
No, I haven't seen that yet. I was kind of thinking like Bato from Ghost in the Shell, but I'll have to look up Jared.
Ah.
Give me 6 seconds.
Yeah.
Bato's less creepy. Jared Leto's character is super
Although,
creepy.
so my character, if I wanted to go to Ghost in the Shell, he's more like the sniper from that. I'm trying to remember his name.
Sniper.
His name now.
Trying to
Too
remember.
long.
I now want your character to have the gun from the end of the original Ghost in the Shell. The big, like, tank shell gun that
Oh,
Bato
God,
used
yeah.
at the end.
Yeah. Where the hell was his name? He might have been in the second gig. I'm not sure if he was in the first one.
Saito, I think.
Saito. Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah,
Yep.
there's
But he only has
Jared,
one cyber eye.
Discord is Jared Leto.
Okay. Let me pull him up. Yeah,
The
it's kind
second-
of like that, but they don't look like real eyes. But yeah, that's the kind of look you would get from me. Just this blank stare, which is where this is caught on. I'm very impassive facially.
Heaven forbid I leave the in-game chat up because we have all that information nicely displayed. But
Yeah. That's
people
all
can
right there.
enjoy. Did you switch over the? Where's the picture I linked? Let's copy this here. Go to your character.
Uh-huh.
Paste that.
Yeah, apparently we
Oh, yeah, that's right, I
James
got it.
needs to grow a beard because it's been called the beard stream.
Oh, it
Yep.
didn't update it. Oh, wait, there we go. Much better.
Unfortunately, that's not going to happen. I can't grow a beard.
Oh well. You
We'll
can just
buy a
draw it
fake
on.
one.
Where is the? Hold on. I
Yeah,
can't.
so there
I
you
can't
go.
do a sticker for you. Oh well.
Very
no matter.
impassive face. Kind of a wiry, athletic build, but not. He's not bulky. He's slender, but he's got muscle and he typically wears military wear. He's very kind of organized. Looks clean. I mean, it's not like camo, but just kind of tactical-ish.
Mm-hmm.
And he has white skin. Actually, very pale white skin.
Nice.
Yep.
So, what corporation did Blank Stare target in this mission?
Okay, so he went up against. Oh, he went up against Alpha X.
I should probably start a new clock for CNC here. So, tell me about the mission and what your role
Sure.
was in it.
I was the muscle. It was on behalf of TEPCO Dow. They wanted to push in on some. Basically, they weren't happy with Alpha X. Was kind of pushing in on their territory with some of the. They were trying to get into some of the logistic control. They were starting to do some regional trucking things that TEPCO likes to keep on lock. And so we were sent in to discourage people from working for them by causing some mayhem down in the depot area.
So tell me about what you did in the mission that made you stand out.
Sure. I mean, I was the muscle, so I was the guy. I didn't kill anybody, but I scared the hell out of a lot of people. And it wasn't, I mean, I beat up some guys. It wasn't clean. That was the point, was to come in and intimidate people. So it was pretty clear that's what I was there to do. So anybody recording would have seen me doing that.
All right. So, Max Impact, were you involved at all in this incident? Just remember,
Sorry.
links are optional.
Well, no, I was just trying to make sure I was unmuted or not.
Yeah.
Can I be? Hey, look, cat.
Yep. Hi, Cat.
Cat.
That's the kitten. She's gotten huge. Can I be involved without him knowing I was involved?
You can be involved in so much as you were part of the mission, and you may know what he does, but he may not have necessarily known your part in it. If I remember, hold on, let me go back to links here. Links. Where's my book? Yeah, because you will take +1 links to him. So you'll know about his part in it. He may not necessarily know your part in it.
Okay. So the mission was you went into what was it? Scare some people not to work for Alpha X.
Yeah, basically. Bust some heads, you know.
A automated transport depot. He went to scare the employees to make them not want to work in that.
Automated depot.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to say that I was connected in that the company that hired him got wind of his intended plan to scare them.
Mm-hmm.
And I was hired as insurance to make sure his plan worked. So basically, I kind of followed along behind him at a distance, as he was moving through scaring people. I was, randomly making sure that some of them were dead.
I can almost see
Cat
maybe
just stole her glasses.
as a possibility, you also had your team there collecting Alpha X tech to take back.
We took advantage of collecting some Alpha X tech at the same time. Absolutely. But hang on one
Right.
second.
Alpha X gains, moves up the clock. Our first alert on the board.
She ran off with it. She picked it up and ran off with it.
Moving forward, Trip, were you involved in this Alpha X operation at all?
Yes. I think that my group, they kind of, they have their ear to the ground, especially against Alpha X, and so they picked up on this and they offered to provide some intel and scouting on this particular area because we have those high-end business connections. And in response, there was one particular piece of equipment for this automated trucking that Alpha X also uses in some sort of automated space flight program that we wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And so they sent me along to retrieve it. So I just imagine that I followed in behind them, kind of stepping over the bodies and blood to retrieve this one particular thing. But that I didn't do any of the actual
Now, to be fair, we didn't kill all of them. We just, some of the ones that were severely injured, we assisted into the great beyond, so that if Blank Stare hears that some people died, he might have rocked them up a little too hard.
Meh.
Yeah, I just imagine that I came in with my nice clothes, stepping over them after the dust had kind of settled to retrieve
I'm imagining you put on booties, you knew you were going to be going into a mess, so you put on little cloth, the little paper booties, and some paper pants just so you wouldn't get dirty.
So
just, ugh.
You weren't necessarily contracted. You just heard of the mission and were like, "Oh, I'm going to capitalize it." So you're aware of just what a certain operator's MO is.
my idea was that we had provided some like intel on like the people
Okay.
that would be there and some of the stuff in return for them letting us like come along and take this one thing.
Gotcha.
Okay,
All right.
so I was aware of you.
So yeah,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
were aware. You took the intel that he provided, basically.
Yeah.
But
Not knowing
he
he'd be following
gains
on behind.
he gains the links, not you, until it's his turn to go around the circle. And then our last player on the list here. I'm gonna remember names in a second. I swear to God. Brain fart. Replica. Were
Yes.
you a part of this Alphax mission?
I do not think that Replica was part of it, although it may have happened several floors below me when I was trying to sleep.
That's entirely possible. But I will leave you off of the links list. So, Trip, take +1 links to Blank Stare, and Max, take +1 links to Blank Stare. And I'm going to copy this format because I like it. And then move next on our technically pseudo kind of clockwise route around here. Max, describe your character to the group and then tell me who you targeted. You're muted, by the way.
Yeah, I was typing my +1 to blink stare. I just want to make a note of it.
Cool.
So, my character, actually, I think, how can I make my guys show up? Just roll something? Move. I'm sorry.
Hi, Kat.
Yeah, she decided to walk across the lower screen, so I couldn't see myself.
You can broadcast your image.
How do you
and then
do
it'll
that?
pop up. There's a little broadcast button next to image at the top right
Yep.
of your character sheet.
Oh, show to players?
No, it's just if you go to your actual character sheet where you put your stats in. Yep, there you go.
Yeah, so he's got some really wicked looking cybernetic eyes. They look very different than your average cybernetic eyes. But other than that, kind of, your average, your average Joe. Just not, he's fast talks, has a high style. But not beefy. Would rather talk his way out of stuff than anything. So his eyes are trustworthy, for what that's worth, being cybernetic. His face is attractive. His body is toned. He wears street, and his skin is decorated. He's got some tattoos and stuff,
Nice.
including some that like glow and other things that are kind of the new fad.
Cool. Right. I could see him being like the stylish collar upturned overcoat and then fancy outfit under in the cold weather, or pretty much any time you're in winter in your hideout.
Yeah.
And probably heavy gloves in said hideout.
Yes.
So, what corporation is your operation against?
Gosh, I've been screwing over Geekito Prime so much. Let me pick a different one, maybe. I'm pretty sure Geekito Prime already wants me dead, so, or just wants me my attention, I should say.
I need to start a clock for Rytel as well.
Yeah. Actually, I think the big one for me was not so much Geekito Prime. Geekito Prime's hard to get me, but it was the Rytel Corporation. I mean, I guess I could tie. Can I tie this into my eyes? Does that work?
Yeah. It's perfectly fine.
Yeah. So basically, I was contracted to go in and steal some prototype cybernetic eyes from Rytel, by one of their competitors, probably Jedetafix or something. And they the easiest way to smuggle them out was to have them implanted. I just didn't happen to decide to give them up afterwards because they were really, really useful. So I've just kept them.
So I'm gonna make a slight change.
Sure.
Contracted by Alpha X.
Okay, that's fine.
There's reason for it, but you don't know it.
No, that's fine. I don't ask. Like the transporter, I don't ask. I normally don't open the package. This one just had to be the exception of. I really decided these were awesome.
So you both screwed over Alpha X and Rytel. Nice. Did you lie to Alpha X saying, "Oh, in the process it was destroyed"?
It was more like wrong number. Click.
So left Alpha X in the lurch. Awesome.
Yes.
So tell me about this operation and how you got those eyes.
Basically, I had used some intel from Alpha X had provided some intel on them. They were going to be using a test subject to put to do a test of these eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And I worked my way into basically replacing said test subject. Basically, I was Malcolm Small, the guy who was supposed to be getting the eyes. I had documentation that made me look like I was Malcolm Small so that I could get the eyes instead.
Interesting. All right.
And
good use of your fixer contacts on that one.
Yeah. And then I left and only took basically the money they paid me up front and decided the eyes were a better payment.
Excellent. Moving over the list here. Were you involved, Trip?
Not for this one.
Not a problem. Replica.
I think that I was. In particular, getting the helping in get that initial information. What was the subject's name?
Malcolm Small.
Yeah. So I helped under contract from Alpha X, or just working with Max Impact directly, perhaps. Get that basic information, or that base information that is.
Yeah, I mean, he could have worked. Yeah, Jadine could have reached out and worked with Replica.
Did you just sneak into Malcolm Small's apartment and get his information, or did you silently make him not want to be Malcolm Small anymore?
Me or him?
Him. Our infiltrator that's involved in this situation.
My thought was getting that Malcolm Smalls was the test subject. They're like, oh, they're going to do this.
Yeah, he was the original test subject.
Yeah.
Right. So they said, we're going to do this, or Alpha X, right?
Alpha X contracted Max to get the eyes. Right. It's Rytel that was the
right. So
company
Rytel had their candidate, Malcolm Small, who was going to be getting the eyes for them to test as a test subject.
Yeah. So my thought was that I was the link that found that Malcolm Smalls was the test subject.
Okay, so you just found the information about Malcolm Small. You didn't do anything to prevent him from going, hey, Rytel, I'm Malcolm Small.
No, I was not involved in that part.
Okay. All right. That moves Rytel up a click. And we move to Blank Stare. Were you involved in this operation against Rytel?
Who do you think kept Malcolm Smalls from going to his appointment that day?
I figured as much. So, how did you end up in this contract? And give a brief explanation as to what happened to the poor Malcolm Small.
Well, I was just paid to do another job, like always. And he did.
So were you contracted by Alpha X or Max?
No, I was contracted by... I guess it would have been through Alpha X. I wasn't...
Actually, I think you probably would have been contracted by Max, because if you were contracted by Alpha X would have had a lot more information as to the
True.
operation details.
No, that's a good point. I think, yeah, probably through Max.
Well, through Janine, anyway.
Yeah.
Through through one of my associate, Janine.
Well, here, contracted by Max Fixer Contact.
Yeah.
So there's a independent layer between the two of you.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be the
But
same
you-
for me.
Right. As far as I was concerned, Janine said, "Hey, we took care of Malcolm Small. He won't be showing up." I don't realize. Never knew he was dead. I just knew he wasn't going to show up.
So what happened to poor Malcolm Small?
He had a real bad day, and he decided that he wanted to take the short trip from the top floor. And then he ended up in a river. I don't know. It was weird how all that happened.
Is complex into a river. Awesome. So, Replica and Blank Stare take +1 links to max impact.
All right.
And Rytel is also at 1,800 hours. So Rytel knows
One
about
link?
you. Well, Rytel knows something, and Alpha X knows something. Save.
Well, I certainly hope so. I've got a pair of their eyes.
Well, I don't necessarily know they really gave it to you. They just know they gave it to someone named Malcolm Small.
Who never came back.
Yeah, who they fished out of a river and were surprised to see not Cyber in him.
Well,
Like, hey, wait a
Yeah,
minute.
maybe I probably extracted his eyes as a kind of part of that whole thing. He was dead before he hit the river. I mean, I'm a killer, but I'm not a cruel person.
So Rytel's like, God damn it, someone stole them, which is an accurate assessment.
Right. They just don't realize they're currently in use.
Yeah. All right. Next one on the list. I am looking forward to hearing this one. Trip. Describe
Yes.
your character to everyone and tell us about the operation.
So my character is pretty tall and pretty lean and has like a pretty angular face. And when you first meet him, he seems really talkative and normal, but the longer you talk to him, the more you start to realize that he's kind of unhinged.
Mm-hmm.
So first impressions and if he were in a professional setting, can hold it together for long enough that he seems fine. But if you spend a couple hours, couple days or weeks with him, you start to see flashes of the craziness in him. And the mission that he was involved in, I think that Shinvex was trying to put together a deal with TEPCO DAO over something, and they needed some inside information, so they sent him in to as a corporate espionage mission to find that and take that information so they could get the better end of the deal.
So your target today is Shinvex. You are working against your own company.
Well, no, Shinvex hired me to go into. They wanted
TEPCO DAO.
extra,
Got it.
they wanted to see I don't know, whatever, some financials about this project or what kind of, or if they were working with anyone else so that they could get the upper hand in the deal.
Details of a project
Against TEPCO.
All right. So tell me about your part in it.
I was the one who went in to the actual building and had to locate that information.
How'd you sneak into the TEPCO DAO regional secure office?
Well, I think it depends if other people were there, because if it was by myself, I would have gone in during the daytime as in like an official capacity, scoped out the place, swiped someone's ID card, and then gone back in at night. But you know, if Blank Stare was there, we may have just shot our way in. It's probably faster.
Well, describe it how you envision it, and then I can see the rest will find their ways in.
I envision it being like I went in during the daytime underneath like this like false guise of meeting with them under the idea of like, hey, we're gonna put some publicity together for this this campaign. We're gonna like, you know, launch this sort of thing, and then and then I like scope out the place, find the area that I need to go in, and then sneak back in later that night and slip out with the information.
All right. Moving down the line, Replica, were you involved in the TEPCO DAO heist?
I think that I was. Not intentionally. I was doing something else with TEPCO. And an alert or something else came through. And I realized that that would be that would blow my effort as well. So I was impersonating someone at that point. So I kept it from propagating up the line.
So you saw an alert that Trip was using a stolen ID and accessing a secure area after hours that even that stolen ID wasn't designed to go into, and you basically just hit the nice little cancel button next to the alert whilst you were sneaking in and doing something else. So you knew Trip was in there doing something nefarious because you saw when the alert came up, it brought up a little camera feed and showed you, wait, that doesn't match the picture on the badge. Who is this person? So you've seen that. You've seen Trip before.
Yeah, but if an alarm went off, then my efforts would get exposed. So
security was made aware. All right, moving on along here. Blank Stare, were you involved in the TEPCO DAO data heist?
Yes. I was his insurance package. I was the driver for this mission / go in and get him out violently if I need to, if things go south. We let him go with... Yeah, you
I like the idea that Blank Stare and I have worked together before a couple of times.
You went in the quiet route and it worked, but I was the alarm's going off. Okay, I get the shotgun. We're going in to get him out kind of position. So I kept the engine running.
Rescue if needed, though not needed.
But I mean, I guess I would have been seen as the driver coming into the building and all that.
Trip knows you, and well, you know Trip because you drove Trip there and you drove Trip away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. As an aside, I don't think we covered this, but one of my options is that for the gear I get a sweet ride, and so I have like a really cool 2-seat sport car.
Oh yeah, I forgot about gear. Gear and contacts. We'll get to at the very end here.
And it's really fast, and I let Blank Stare drive it, and he was super stoked about that.
And it was awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then everyone's favorite fixer, Max Impact. Were you part of the TEPCO DAO data heist?
I don't think I was actually. They didn't have a need for a fixer on this one. They already had all their data and they already had their way in, so I don't think they really needed a fixer on this one. So I'm going to say not this round.
All right. So, Replica and Blank Stare, +1 links to Trip West.
All right.
Unless you guys think of another reason. It sounded like a pretty tight-knit story already.
Well, I mean,
trying to wedge myself in there just seems like a waste.
You could have been the reason that we had said information.
Yeah.
Or you could have been the one who got us the ID badge that he used. Because that had to come from somewhere.
And so everyone has it, though I assume you haven't quite done you haven't done any of your stats yet. Trip, make sure to select all your eyes, face, body, wear, skin, and hunt down a picture at some point. So I won't broadcast that because there's nothing to broadcast. All right. Next one on the list and the last one for the evening as far as links go. Replica, tell everyone about your character and what is your mission that you went through.
Sure thing. So, Replica is a androgynous individual of probably about 5'9", 5'10", and as it is a master of disguise, so appears in many different particular appearances most of the time. But at least during downtime, they have a fairly attractive face with cyber eyes that are like, very realistic. Like they're not normally noticeable as cyber eyes, except during downtime, they have like light rings and stuff like that in them that show that they're cyber eyes. I sent a picture of kind of like the corporate stuff that they wear into the chat.
Yep. Awesome. So, tell us about the corporation you did your operation against.
All right. So I think that I went back to Shinvex in an attempt to find more information, to find out what happened to William Davidson, my business partner and missing friend, presumably simply missing.
All right, tell us what you did in your operation against Shinvex.
Well, the intent was to simply sneak in, or to infiltrate the one of the very corporate buildings, get connected to the network, and use a program that I had acquired from a contact to gain, to find out if there was any information that available there about William.
Okay. And what happened?
I think that it turned rather chaotic and violent there, because it triggered some form of a database tripwire.
Maybe your program from your contact was less of an actual program and more of a you're screwed.
So I think that it was a virus that they wanted to deploy against Shinvex for their own purposes.
So you deployed a virus into the system rather than a data skimmer. It set off every alarm in the building. And how did Replica get out?
I think that with the help of other people on the thing, through through their assistance in some fashion.
Well then, moving down the line, Blank Stare. Were you involved in the Shinvex break-in?
I mean, probably.
Well, it did turn violent after all.
Yeah, it did turn violent. Did you get in quiet? You got in there, okay. You got everything set up.
Yeah.
But then it went south.
Everything was quiet until I basically plugged the jump drive into the computer that it was supposed to work from. At that point, various alarms started to go off, and things got panicky for me.
Okay. Good. And this was like a person, you weren't on task by another corp?
This was a personal mission, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I
might have been able to scrape up enough money to hire people, but it was for a personal mission.
Yeah, I could see having been hired as a bodyguard / kind of same story with Shane's character. I gotta learn names too.
I'm cheating because I'm looking at all
West.
the Trello stuff. That's the only reason why I know anyone's name. So.
So yeah, I imagine I was there in a security fashion, and I helped him get out violently.
Maybe you were the hired as a last resort resource, kind of like the driver for the last mission. Only
Yep.
you weren't the driver; you were just muscle.
Right.
Exactly.
This one, you actually had to go in and get them as a last resort.
Yeah, I actually did have to go in, kick down the door, shoot a few people, and drag out while shooting more.
All right. Max Impact. Were you involved against?
Where do you think you got the data spike from?
Wow. So why were you trying to put a virus into Shinvex?
Well, to be fair, I gave him a data spike and a virus. I wasn't expecting the virus to be noticed.
Ah.
I did provide him what he asked for. I did give him the data spike that he was looking for. I just piggybacked a virus on it because I was trying to add a backdoor so I could get into Shinvex at my own leisure. Well, Janine's leisure, I should say. Because good money to be had having a backdoor into Shinvex.
Oh, I can see the first interaction between you two going real well.
Well, I mean, I gave him what he paid for. I mean, I did give him a data spike. Like I said, I didn't actually code it. Janine did. And how was I supposed to know it was going to trip every freaking alarm in the system?
All right, Shinvex gets 2 points. And our favorite Shinvex employee, or employee as it were you involved in the heist against Shinvex?
I probably didn't know this was happening. I don't think my company would have cared, but we're not in love with Shinvex. But I don't think we would have had any reason to participate in this. It doesn't seem like it would have benefited either my group or my cause.
Do you want a freebie here? The legitimate the legitimate side of your advertising firm was involved in William Davidson's capture in some form.
Oh well, then if we had that information, then we totally would have been on board to help. Because anything we can do to limit them.
So I'm going to give you.
I don't know what my role would have been in this sort of situation.
You heard that Replica was looking for information regarding a potential, regarding a file named w.davidson, and you'd also heard that your legitimate side had detailed information about that file and where it could be located, so you gave Replica the information of what building to hit.
Sweet. Maybe that's why when Replica saw me at the TEPCO facility, he kind of just looked the other way.
Exactly. Rival
right.
faction.
So okay, that makes sense. Actually, is Replica Day?
You're roboting, so I lost.
Yeah, you're roboting kind of bad.
Yeah.
Oh, I was just
try refreshing. You're real roboting.
Hold on. Okay. Let me just drop off.
Pow. And back where he belongs. Oh, I'm off slightly. All right, you're back?
Yep. Okay. I was just asking, is Replica he, she, it, they? What pronouns is Replica Go
They.
I.
They, them.
They. Okay. Them. They. Them. Okay.
All right, so our least happy corporation right now is going to be Shinvex, starting the game at 2000 hours. Blank Stare, Max Impact, and Trip West all take +1 links to Replica. And that should cover it. I think we're good there. So we'll go back to the last 2 questions I have, and then we can wrap up for the evening so that we can do a mission next time, rather than more and more character generation here. Let's go back to my wrong notes. Radar. So I have 2 sections to cover, one of which should have been covered a little bit earlier, but it's all good. And the first is considering background and context. Each of your characters kind of runs in their own circles. In this case, I'm going to actually take the description straight from the book. Think about your character's background. Does he come from the streets? Did they grow up in a corporate ecology? Do they move in media circles? Did they serve in regular military or paramilitary force of some kind? You know some people from your old life who you can still go to for help, and whom you'll name and describe during play. And we lost someone.
Lost Replica. Oh, there we go.
There we go. All right. So for now, just tell me a brief note about the circles your contacts will come from. And I will start with our favorite killer, Blank Stare.
Definitely from that ex-military crowd, but also, I mean, I've been doing the Wetworks mercenary thing for a while too, so just that kind of crowd.
So your circles are military and then corporate security contracts.
And John Wick, yeah.
So hitmen circles, ex-military, and corporate security.
Basically, yeah.
Which I'm going to shorten to CorpSec because I like the way that sounds. All right. Max Impact. Tell me about your contact circles.
It's gonna be a combination of having grown up in like the highbrow arcologies. So like I know, like my family came from money, and I rebelled, and well, I either rebelled or became wanted by the police or any of another of 100 things that made my family disown me. So I ended up working in the streets, and that's when I met Janine and Rachel and started my fixer business. But I've still got the posh and the panache to pull off highbrow parties so that, I can rob them blind.
I had to remember how to spell panache. So only the highbrow, or what's your general? Where do you go to other than say Granny Jones, who I love the picture I found for her?
I do like it.
What lower circles do you hit as well as your high circles?
Basically it's everything all the way down to the slums. I kind of run. I try not to. I'm not crazy about hitting the slums, but I probably know a couple people. I know a guy who knows a guy who eats rats, basically.
You almost have the what was it from Sherlock, the hobo network?
Yeah. With the ability to be able to name a contact, like in each beginning of each session, each game session, I know a guy who knows a guy who eats rats, or I know a guy who who knows how to prepare rat.
You can name one each session. Everyone else can name one each mission.
Right.
All right. Trip. Tell me about the circles you move through that you know people in.
I I think mostly upper class. My parents tried real hard to put me there, even though they weren't quite. They realistically weren't quite there, but they pushed real hard. And now with my job in advertising and corporate espionage, I kind of have to keep up that like real shined and glossy appearance.
Yeah. So, mostly associated with upper class individuals, you know the right people through your parents, through the corporations you've connected with, through your own corporation's connections, and you have to keep up the appearances considering your espionage agenda. Espionage slash, I'll go with conspiracy agenda. Because it's the easiest way to put it. All right.
Conspiracy, that's the truth.
Minor insignificant details. And lastly, replica. What circles does
Just
your
like you're not.
What circles does replica move through?
I'm thinking kind of a working class infotech circles and like kind of anarchist DEF CON style attendees.
And probably you know a lot of lower class slum individuals by doing nice things for them. You have favors throughout the city just because you were compassionate in one means or another.
Yeah. But
awesome.
If you aren't all familiar with the sort of folks that show up to the DEF CON security conference,
yeah,
that sort of mix of like corporate people and anarchists or independents.
Nice. All right. So, going back around again, we're going to finish off with gear. I don't know my stuff off the top of my head, but let's see here. Notes. All's in notes. Cool. I think I covered everything. So, our fun killer. Tell me about your gear.
Sorry to find my tab there. All right, I'm reading it right now. But let's see. Oh, he's got to have the aggressive motorcycle. No, he definitely has to have that. And then he gets 2 more firearms in addition to his custom, which we didn't actually cover yet.
Yep. So tell me about your custom weapon and what is
Sure.
the name of your custom weapon?
I don't have a name yet. I'm working on that. But it's a custom high-powered rifle that is silenced. So it works at near, far, and extreme range and does 4 harm. And I'm currently saving up for a neural implant so I can link it.
Nice. Yeah.
So that's my
Neuralink
custom.
is amazing.
Yeah. That's the custom. I'll come up with a name soon.
So you did silenced and what?
High power.
Science and high. Oh, high powered is. Oh, nice. Ooh.
That's
nice.
1 damage. Yeah, 1 harm.
Silenced, high powered. All right. So, what else did you get?
So he's aggressive motorcycle, and then he's going to be carrying. He gets 2 more weapons, all of which are linkable, which is pretty sweet. I think I'll do the silenced machine pistol, which comes with auto fire,
Nice.
and automatic shotgun.
Automatic shotgun?
Which is loud. Yeah, loud, messy, and auto fire on that one too.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That covers that. You're definitely going to have to go back and give me some names for all those things, because I can't wait to hear what they all are. They don't have to be like, you name your gun, this is Ethel, and this is James.
Sure.
It could also be the Hackmaster 5000 submachine. You know, give it a brand and a.
My custom is going to be like, it's going to have a name, but
This is
the other ones, yeah, exactly. The other ones will be like some kind of generic thing.
Nice. All right, Max Impact. Tell me what you got.
So I have a hold-up pistol. I have a hold-up pistol that has 2 harm, hand, close, discreet, quick reload. And then I have a flashy ride. It gets plus flashy on it, regardless of what I pick. But I'm going to pick one of those. Basically, I drive like one of the Can-Am Spiders. So it's got the 2 wheels in the front and 1 wheel in the back.
Motorcycle.
And what's that?
So you took a flashy motorcycle.
Yep. No, I took a flashy trike, really, is what it is.
Yeah.
And then I debated between the encrypted communication gear and the armored coat, and finally settled on the encrypted communication gear.
You don't want to get shot.
I don't want to get shot, but being able to talk to Janine without somebody listening in seemed a little more important.
Don't you have encrypted comms already, though?
Is it part of my cyber?
Oh, no, I guess not. You took CyberEye and neural interface.
Right, exactly. So that's why. If I'd taken cyber comms, and I could have taken encrypted there, but I didn't. So
Got it. Oops. Comms gear.
one of my first purchases will obviously be probably either an armored coat or armored clothing.
Yep. All right.
And I get 5 credits. So how much is an armored coat?
Just remember you have to spend cred, or you have to bid cred on missions. Otherwise, you don't get paid. So you might want to hold on to that money.
Yeah, I'll hold on to that for now.
And we'll do. You might get something in the course of setting up for mission 2. We'll see. Right. Next on the list, our pusher. Tell me what you picked up.
Yeah.
Gear.
I took the holdout pistol, which was just 2 harm, and the flashjet pistol, which shoots like a poison dart type thing.
So you get one of those 2.
And it's 3 harm.
So you get
I took the synth leather armor, which gives me just to subtract 1 when rolling.
Yep.
And
You're
then
roboting pretty bad again.
I gotta get you on a hard line, man. Yeah, you get 1 weapon and then 2 from the second list. He disappeared. He disappeared.
Yeah, I think he's reset.
Yep. Gotta switch you around. So you get 1 weapon and then 2 from the other list.
Okay. Then I'll just take the holdout pistol.
All right.
That seems the best. And then I'm taking the synth leather armor, which gives me, I get to subtract 1 when rolling harm. I feel like with being violent, I may get shot at a lot.
So the one thing to
and then
note.
I'm taking the sleek ride, which is that cool sports car that
Nice.
Blank Stare got to drive.
Sports car plus sleek. So the thing to note with armor, with the armored clothing / synth letters where it's 0 armor but subtract 1 when rolling the harm move, you're going to take all of the damage on your harm clock, but you're going to subtract 1 from the roll to say what that damage actually did. So when you take damage in this game, it will be X amount of harm based on the weapon. And just like the corporations, you have a clock for your health. Same thing, 3, 6, 8, 9, 8, 10, 11, and 12. Once you get to 12, you have to roll the acquire agricultural property to make sure you're still alive. But in the meantime, each time you take a hit, you'll mark off on that clock the damage that the weapon did, which with your armor won't subtract anything from that. You'll take all that damage, and then you will roll a die, or you'll roll a harm check, which will be 2d6 plus whatever the weapon damage was, but -1 with your armored clothing. In the case of someone who's wearing legitimate actual armor, they would actually reduce the amount they take as well. So, just something everyone can be aware of. So
Yeah, I think for my character, I'd look pretty funny walking into an office building in like a bulletproof vest.
well, you don't have that option anyway, so you're fine.
Yeah.
All right, so that covers gear for everyone but Replica. Replica, tell me about your gear. You're muted if you don't already know.
I did not know. My apologies.
Well, there you go.
All right, so I've got 3 weapons.
Jesus
I
Christ.
took I took
Have a lot,
the
too.
silenced SMG,
Mm-hmm.
silenced semi-auto pistol, and the hand taser.
Good. Someone can make it so there's not always violence going on.
Yeah.
All right.
Before I saw hand taser, I was going to take throwing knives, and then I was like, "Oh, I should have a way to subdue people."
There isn't always violence going on. As soon as they're dead, the violence stops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But sometimes a mission requires people to not be dead.
Plus,
Yeah, well,
like,
if we take those kind of missions,
Who took that?
I can tell this group really wants to kill people.
I don't. It's not that. It's not about wanting to kill people. It's just convenient to get them out of your way.
Gotcha. All right.
splattered
So,
blood can get into ports and stuff on computers, and that can screw things up.
What
so
was
you
that?
took the infiltration deck?
No, I took disguise kit as my item
Ooh,
from the bottom tab.
nice.
So my image of that is, amongst other things of makeup and that sort of stuff, I also have an extensive closet full of many different types of clothing and things like that to help blend into different areas.
So, it being the future, I don't think it's makeup. I see a disguise kit as being like a collar that you just click on, and it provides a full holographic remake of your face.
Sure.
I mean, the clothes stuff, yeah, that you got it doesn't do clothes; it only does faces, and voices.
Yeah.
it's like that spray can clothing from Futurama, right?
Yeah, but it's literally like you take out your phone and you press a button, and your face is a different face until you break character, and then it flickers, and you start to lose it.
Yeah.
Cool. I think we have some solid characters here. So my general question to you all is, what kind of missions do you think a killer, fixer, pusher, and infiltrator would be going on together?
Well, we lost our killer.
Yeah.
Oh no, we
Yeah.
lost our pusher.
Sure. There he is.
I think they would be going on the type of missions that our GM puts in front of us.
Well, yes.
I think obviously they would involve high-speed chases and helicopters.
None of you have a helicopter.
I didn't say it was our helicopter. I mean, to be fair, he didn't say we would be in a helicopter.
True.
Yeah.
This is true.
On a serious note, I think missions that are fairly close location-wise and coverage-wise, like the amount of area covered by the mission.
Okay.
Probably fairly close. We don't have lots of. Well, someone has a fancy car.
Two of
But
them.
aside from two of them do. Okay. I'm stuck taking the auto taxi, so I don't know about that life.
My bike rides too. You can always ride along with me.
Well,
Oh, yeah, I've got a
I'm
bike too,
kind
so
of I'm kind of seeing with the four of you, we have the pusher and fixer who are good at finding information through certain means. The pusher's probably going to be murdering all of his contacts, but that's a whole different story. And then
I'm not
we
going to
have
murder them.
well,
I'm going to
you
have
will.
Blank Stare murder them.
Maybe. And then the infiltrator and killer, the infiltrator will be sneaking in and dragging the killer along so he doesn't set off alarms this whole time.
Yeah, I'm
because-
more of a just let's get in there and kill things. Kinda.
Well, it sounds like
Although I do have a nice high-powered rifle, so
Yeah.
I like
So-
killing from a distance.
I took an infiltrator move that allows me to bring the whole party with me
Yeah.
when needed. So that
Nice.
is basically the face, I guess, thing. Get
Yeah. Well,
all the-
something it's something to be aware of with this game. It's less about, moving 30 feet and checking around corners and checking for traps and, walking through a building. There's going to be a lot of times where it's more cinematic. You're sneaking in, and due to your sneaking in, you use your move and have in the process of sneaking have flashback in the process of sneaking in, switching each security section off so that the other people can get in, basically.
Yeah, I mean, there's that, but the particular move is like after I do one of those things, getting around a guard or whatnot. I've also brought everyone with me.
Yeah, but
So it's like,
you
I
get
get past
this.
this guard, so does everybody.
Yeah, but you get to then explain how you did it. It's not just boom, everyone appears, because that don't make any sense. It's boom, I knock this guy out. In the process, I press the button to say door open. Everyone comes in now, and we've lucked out that all the rest of the guards are conveniently not on the pathway we need to get from A to B. But you have the ability to dictate that kind of story because that's how the moves kind of work in this game. So that's what I'm looking forward to playing here.
So it sounds like the infiltrator needs some practice anyway. Sneaking into a building after setting off all the alarms, trying to use a data spike.
Well, he got into the building just fine. Somebody's data spike set off all the alarms.
Hey, my data
Reliability issues.
He's an infiltrator, not an exfiltrator.
Yeah, exactly.
They're an infiltrator.
Awesome. So I think
I did not take the escape move.
You hired somebody for escape mode, right?
yeah,
Yep.
the killer is the escape mode.
Has anybody here watched the TV series of Lethal Weapon?
Mm-mm.
I've heard good things, but I have not watched it yet.
It's really good. Last night, Murtaugh's on the phone with his wife. He's in Mexico. He's like, yeah, I know Riggs is here somewhere. And in the background, they're shooting up, and you can see 3 floors of this hotel. In the background, you can see these flashes of light in the hotel room. Like, and it's going along, it's like going along the hotel where obviously Riggs is going through the hotel killing people. He's like, yeah, I just need to find him. Knowing him, he'll be here somewhere. And then a body flies out the window and hits the car in front of it. And he's like, I'm going to have to call you back, honey.
Yeah, that sounds like what happens.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That's
So
what I had imagining was with the killer going in, it's just like clearing a path.
So I got the auto shotgun.
it's going to be an interesting time trying to plan this out. Over the weekend, I'm going to be hiking up in Mount Lassen, so I will have to find some time somewhere that hopefully doesn't involve my 12-hour shift that I'm likely going to have to work tonight for. I think that covers everything on my end. So great job making characters. We're done. This is the last of episode 0. So the next time is actually going to be episode 1. I'm looking forward to it.
Right. I'm glad James was able to join us.
Yes, welcome, James. Yeah, you were a great addition to the team last minute.
He runs an awesome Shadowrun game, so I knew he'd be a great addition as a player.
Excellent. So your big homework for the next session is to give some names to all your equipment. And any holes you have name-wise for your background, make sure to try and come up with something to link it all together. Because one of the big parts of this game is give everything a name. Because then it's even more fun to kill it off.
Okay.
Or, in some cases, one of the complications, if you have a failure and you're doing something like shooting, I can take your gun away from you. So, if you have a fancy gun you love, I can make that fancy gun go away. Or break, or run out of ammunition, or, something.
You ready to sign out?
Welcome to the cinematic approach of Powered by the Apocalypse. So, thank you everyone for watching. I'm Steel Seraph here on Twitch, if you haven't worked that out by watching my channel. I'm also Steel Seraph on Twitter, YouTube, Google+. I think that pretty much covers everything. I've started actually being pretty active on the Sprawl Google+ forum because that seems to be the only discussion place for the Sprawl. So, yeah, I'm around. Keep an eye out for me. Follow, like, subscribe. Everything would be great. Yeah. Take it away, Blank Stare.
You can find me on here. That's all I'm doing right now. But like I said, you can also find me on Twitter. I'm starting to do a little bit more on Twitter again. Mostly just retweeting what Steel Seraph does, but in case you want to see it in stereo, go ahead and follow me on there. But yeah, I'll be here most weeks, and we can hang out then.
You're no longer swimming in your house?
No. Well, I'm living with my parents, so because our house was rendered unlivable by Hurricane Harvey. But,
Minor insignificant details. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Climate change won't play any part in this game. I don't know what you're talking about.
It's all Chinese hoax, right?
Oh yeah, totally.
I'm VidWizard. Twitch, Google+, Facebook, Tumblr, here. If you're looking for me, you can find me. I'm looking forward to playing with these crazy guys. Finally getting out of the episode 0 character creation mode, but we've been making progress every week. I think we're gonna have a fun story, and taking advantage of the really cool overlay John and I created. So, yay! Yep, Neon Haxor just put up my links. So see everybody next week. And just because poor Garrett couldn't make it, I won't forget it.
All right, Shane.
I'm Shane. I'm on here. I don't have a Twitter, but Trip West has a new Twitter that you can follow if you want the latest in anti-space news. I'll be tweeting lots of educational material and reaction to current events.
Is that no, it's probably not that one.
So yeah, that's it.
What's your Trip West handle?
At Earth's Trip West.
There we go. Awesome. I will definitely follow that one. Boop. All right. And Replica. Take it away.
Yeah. I'm James. I don't really have a public face. I'm on Facebook and a few other things, but I don't advertise those. So,
cool.
Sorry.
No worries. It's all good. Welcome to the game once again.
Yeah. Glad to be here.
Thank you everyone for hanging out with us this evening, and hopefully next week there will be lots of murder and mayhem and fixing and pushing going on, because I suspect there is going to be some crazy times ahead for everything I have sitting in my nice little awesome plot book I've got built up here, which now I get to add 2 characters more information into to add more plots to. So awesome. Looking forward to it. See you guys next week. Hopefully same time. I suspect I don't have any issues that should be coming up, so fingers crossed. And have a good night.